These are the pre-show notes or notes on audio description for Opera Philadelphia's world premiere TakTakShoo, music by Rene Orth and libretto by Kanika Ambrose. TakTakShoo stars mezzo-soprano Kristen Choi and features 4 dancers, Elyse Starlett Browning, Gavino, Roderick Phifer, and Dante Palladino. The word TakTakShoo represents the sound of a broom, and the production fuses opera, K-pop, marimba, electronic, and dance to create eclectic sound and movement with a fluid, non-linear storyline. The opera runs approximately 11 minutes. This recorded opera video was filmed at the Neighborhood House in Philadelphia and features 1 singer and 4 dancers. Mezzo-soprano Kristen Choi. Kristen Choi is a Korean-American woman in her 30s with her dark hair parted in the middle with waves reaching to the middle of her back. She is average height and has a slender build. She wears a strapless black dress with a corset that reaches to her hips and a black skirt with gold accents. She wears an oversized cream variegated cardigan that reaches to her knees. Later in the performance, Kristen appears to be 8 feet tall, wearing a floor-length burnt orange and black ombre gown with 1 sleeve on the right side and her black dress peeking through on the left. The dress has a gold bow on the left side. She wears a crown-like hat atop her head that resembles rays of sun made of similar material to the gold bow with black accents and carries a 7-foot-tall broom. Elyse Starlett Browning. Elyse is a black woman in her 20s or 30s of average height with an athletic build and a curly dark afro bob with turquoise blue highlights at the top. Elyse is dressed in shades of light purple, wearing chinos, a camisole under a sweater, and a cardigan with a scarf loosely wrapped around her head and sneakers. Annie Lily Gavino. Annie is a Filipinx woman in her 20s or 30s of average height with an athletic build and wavy, long, dark hair that reaches down her back. Annie is dressed in light sage green, wearing a multi-layered skirt with a sweatshirt, a floor-length cardigan, and scarf loosely wrapped around her head with sneakers. Roderick Phifer. Roderick is a black man in his 20s or 30s who is tall with an athletic build and a short dark afro with a fade as well as facial hair. Roderick is dressed in a goldenrod yellow, wearing a sleeveless crop top underneath an oversized cardigan and joggers with a scarf loosely wrapped around his head and sneakers. Dante Palladino. Daniel is a white man in his 20s or 30s of average height with an athletic build and short dark hair with an undercut as well as facial hair. Dante is dressed in navy blue, wearing joggers, a t-shirt, and a rope-like cardigan with a scarf loosely wrapped around his head and sneakers. In the production, the dancers move in a lyrical style with fluid motions, one melting into the next, so each movement appears seamless. The production of TakTakShoo frequently switches between Kristen and the 4 dancers who all begin in separate spaces until they converge together. At the start of the production, each of the 4 dancers is in their own dimly lit space. In order, Annie is in a room with wooden floors and wooden objects such as doors leaning against the wall. Roderick is in a narrow hallway with windows to the left. Daniel is in a room filled with furniture including chairs and benches with a row of windows along the back wall, and Elyse is in a dressing room with a mirror and a vanity. Kristen begins on the landing of a wooden staircase with brick walls behind her, then moves to a stage with wooden floors, a white backdrop with blue curtains behind her, and windows to her left. In the center of the dimly lit stage is a ghost light, an exposed singular light bulb mounted on a portable black light stand that is typically left on the stage of the theater when the theater is unoccupied and would be otherwise completely dark. There is a black glove with a battery pack hanging from the side of the ghost light. When the dancers enter the building from the park outside, they meet in a large room with 3 tall windows. They then move to the staircase with 1 landing between the 2 sets of stairs, until they meet Kristen in the stage where she transforms into her 8-foot burnt orange black ombre gown. This concludes the complete notes on audio description or pre-show notes for TakTakShoo. TakTakShoo title screen, the letters billow while coming in and out of focus. Fade in on Ani wearing green, seated in a chair facing backward, shoulders hunched forward, then leans the shoulders back and lifts the head. Roderick wearing yellow, pressed against the corner of a wall, ankles apart, knees together, shoulders hunched forward while arching the back. Daniel wearing blue lies on a bench, then slowly leans the head back. Elyse, dressed in purple, sits in front of a dressing room mirror, arms resting on the vanity, shoulders rising and falling. Kristen gradually comes into focus while standing on the landing of wooden stairs and sweeping a broom, then sways with the broom in her hand. Elyse and Ani slowly arch their backs. Kristen rests her chin atop the broom handle. Roderick fully extends the leg back, then leans forward. Daniel arches back. Kristen sweeps the steps.
Let me make your dust dance up like a cloud.
With the broom in hand, Kristen steps toward a ghost light in the center of a stage, reaches her hand toward it as she unhooks a glove with a battery pack. Daniel and Roderick extend, then compress their bodies. Kristen dons the glove. Elyse crawls on the vanity. Kristen spreads her fingers wide and sweeps the air.
Come to me with
Three dancers extend their bodies and Kristen circles her finger upward.
Running waters, running waters, running waters, running waters, running waters, running waters, running waters.
On their knees circle their bodies. Kristen slams her hand down.
Come to me, battered, worn down roost.
Kristen circles the light as Roderick and Daniel circle their bodies. Kristen nearly caresses the light and the dancers extend their arms and legs.
Come to me. Bring cobwebs in your corners.
Kristen gazes through the window at the dancers in the
We'll
park.
have a brush with heaven, baby. Dance in the sun and kino no woo. You may think that you are dusty, but darling, I am here to be
The dancers process toward the building as Kristen leans her head in her hand and gazes out the window toward them. They gaze back at her and Kristen removes her cardigan. The dancers enter into the building and remove their shoes and scarves.
unexpected opaque. Covered your doors, windows. Covered your whole life. Life for Kristen turns her wrist. The dancers move forward while bending deeply at the waist.
Kristen turns into the ground. The dancers sway in the windowsills. The dancers slide their bodies up the railings while slowly ascending the staircase. Elyse and Roderick reach toward Ani. Daniel and Ani wrap their hands together. Elyse and Roderick extend the leg back while leaning forward. Ani taps the foot on the step. Kristen smiles while sweeping the broom. All dancers tap their foot on the step. Elyse and Roderick climb up the railing like a rope, then slide down as Kristen sways with the broom.
Are you scared? Where you once were brazen? Are you lost in ruminations? With your depression, I will listen. 21 again. I can make it happen. 85, 53, 32. Take back what is yours. Kiss the rust from your corners. I will be your lemon juice.
8-foot-tall Kristen in a gown in the center of the dancers holding
We'll
a broom.
have a brush with heaven, baby. Dance in the sun, then kindle your room. You may think that you are dusty, but darling, I am here to be your da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Taka, 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 taka.
Dancers in reverse putting on their shoes, scarves, and exiting, then dancing around Kristen.
Break it down.
Dancers lie on the ground. The dancers rise and surround Kristen as she sweeps her arm, and they begin to undress to their undergarments.
Please be handy. Come to me, feel my touch. Kisses on you. Hold me. Take my hand, oh baby. I will be your boo.
Kristen flicks her wrists and the dancers process off of the stage. Light envelops the stage and the screen fades to white. Composer Rene Orth, libretto Kanika Ambrose. Director and choreographer Jeffrey Page. Mezzo-soprano Kristen Choi. Dancers Elyse, Starlett, Browning. Annie Lily, Annie Gavino. Dancer Roderick, Phifer. Dancer Daniel, Dante, Palladino. Creative producer Sarah Williams. Music, electronics Rene Orth. Percussion Ralph Sorrentino. Supervising sound designer and engineer Robert Kaplowitz. Recorded, mixed, and mastered at 9 Hostage Arts. Video and post-production Kevin Eichenberg and Evan Chapman, 410 Media. Director of production and first assistant director John Toya. Production designer and supervisor Drew Billow. Technical director and COVID safety officer Stephen Dickerson. Costume, hair, and makeup designer Millie Hibble. Production manager Maggie Sachi-Eltz. Artistic operations manager Bridget Cook. Assistant to the sound engineer Chris Sanning. Production assistant Hunter Smith. Boom operator Michael Giaquinto. Electrician Paul Taylor. Filmed at Neighborhood House, Philadelphia. Audio description provided by Nicole Sardella. TakTakShoo, commissioned by Opera Philadelphia. The Opera Philadelphia channel has been made possible by the Disaway Foundation and the Wincoat Foundation. Audio description for Opera Philadelphia has been underwritten by Pico. The digital commission series is underwritten by Mr. Alan D. Black and Mr. R. Randolph Apgar. Additional special thanks to Me Mew Gloves.